star 439 hash. Make sure you get in the game to stand a chance to win 1,000 Ghana cedis. And guess what? It goes straight onto your mobile device. Star 439 hash, option 2 for TV3, and you too could be walking away with some cold hard cash this morning. So please keep playing. You know the drill. If you don't play, you don't win. I'm also encouraging you to make your views known this morning across our socials. If you are on the move, we're streaming on X, on YouTube, also on Facebook. We are at TV3 Ghana. So please do keep your views and thoughts coming. I'll endeavor to read as many of your opinions as possible. As always, thank you in advance for those said views. This morning, we've tabled two pertinent issues on Big Issue. We're going to be talking about Ghana's apex court, and we're asking a very important question. Should there be a cap on the number of justices? We're also going to be talking about Democracy Hub suing government over deportation of foreign illegal minors without trial. It's been a hot topic. It's something that we're looking forward to dissecting this morning. So do stick with us all throughout the morning. I'll introduce my panel and then we'll get stuck straight into the meat of the matter. We're going to be speaking this morning with Kweku Ansa Asare, former director of the Ghana School of Law, and he'll be hopefully joining us via phone in no time. I've also got in studio with me Dr. Joshua Zato. He's a senior lecturer, political and policy analyst, UG. Doc, Ndiapana. How are you doing this morning? Hey. I believe I've opened a massive can of worms, Pandora's box. But Doc, I just wanted to greet you this morning. Hope you're doing well.
Thank you, I'm doing good.
All right, I also have Honorable Mohammed Suparu, MP Sisala West, also Deputy Ranking on the Judiciary Committee in Diapana. That's as far as it goes for me. Honorable, it's good to see you.
Good to see you too, madam.
Yeah, looking sharp indeed.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we look forward to hearing your thoughts this morning. I also have in studio Solomon Owusu, Senior Communicator, Movement for Change. Solomon, how are we doing this morning?
I'm good. You know, I warned you that if you were going to greet in Cecil, I'll be prepared for the subsequent ones. I've been vindicated.
You've been vindicated this morning.
I'll take my advice. I went here, I told you.
We have planned to abduct you.
Oh, my goodness.
He can take a second one. He's a Muslim, I can. So we just decided that
okay.
we could take him
you are now marrying you on this platform.
Yeah. Take him to the elders and then we say, well, can we chase him?
When I heard the chasing, I knew that I had to take cover.
I believe my wife is watching us, and my wife knows that my brother likes me. That is why he's suggesting that I go in for the second wife. It is not me who is saying it. It's my one brother.
Certainly. Well, gentlemen, it's good to see you this morning. I'm really looking forward to getting your thoughts and perspectives on the two issues that we've tabled this morning. Again, you too can lend your voice to the conversation. The hashtag we're using this morning, hashtag New Day, hashtag The Big Issue. Let's hear from you this morning. All right, our first topic, we're talking about the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court stands as the ultimate guardian of Ghana's constitution, the final arbiter in disputes that shape our democracy, and the protector of fundamental rights. Yet, it is currently grappling with an unprecedented backlog of cases threatening the timely delivery of justice for the everyday Ghanaian. Now, at the heart of our discussion this morning lies a fundamental question. Should we increase the number of Supreme Court judges to enhance efficiency and reduce delays? Or does such an expansion risk politicizing the judiciary and undermining its independence? Now, this issue has sparked intense debates across political lines, with accusations of court packing and double standards flying between the major parties. It raises profound questions about the balance between judicial efficiency, constitutional mandates, and political influence. That's something I want us to think about as we get into this morning's discussions. We'll also take a look at the Constitution and what it has to say about the composition and mode of exercise of power of the judiciary. And we can find that specifically in Article 128, 1 and 2. We'll get that up on the screens for you so you can also follow along. What does it say? Composition and mode of exercise of power of the judiciary. Again, Article 128 of the Constitution. 1. The Supreme Court shall consist of the Chief Justice and not fewer than 9 other justices of the Supreme Court. 2. The Supreme Court shall be duly constituted for its work by not fewer than 5 Supreme Court justices, except as otherwise provided in Article 133 of this Constitution. I'd also like us to take a look at the justices appointed by presidents in our Fourth Republic and look at what the breakdown looks like. All right, so you see that graph there on your screens. Jerry John Rawlings, 11 justices appointed. You've got John Ajikum Kufuor, some 16 justices appointed. Then you have John Evans Atta Mills, 3. John Dramani Mahama, Part 1, 4. You've got Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo, 17. And then we have another 7 who have been nominated by the president. Over the last 2 days, you will have witnessed their vetting process in Parliament. Now, if you look at that final breakdown, you've got 25 justices appointed by the NDC, and then you've got 33 by the NPP. That full breakdown on your screens. We'll also take a look at the nomination of justices to the Supreme Court of Ghana by the president. Again, over the last 2 days, we've seen a raft of vettings happening. 3 on day 1, I believe 4 on day 2. You've got Justice Sir Dennis Dominic Ejay, Justice Simon Subare, Justice Senyo Jamefe, Justice Kweku Teria Aka Boafo. You also have Justice Philip Bright Mensah and also Justice Janapari Bartels Kojo, Justice Maliboba. So today we've got 2 more vettings to go. So we have seen some 5 go through and there are 2 more to go. Let's also take a look at this video, and this took place yesterday during the vetting of Justice Philip Bright Mensah. Take a listen to what he had to say about what would constitute an ideal number of justices on the Supreme Court. When we're done, we come back in studio, we'll talk some more.
We started with more and more cases, and they cannot have. So at any given time, when the panel or the judges in the Supreme Court are about 20, then we are saying that we have about 4 sets of panel of judges to handle those cases. So, Mr. Chairman, I will say, in my humble opinion, given the cases that are in the Supreme Court, I will recommend that 20 judges would be appropriate.
However.
All right, now, the number 20, is that enough? Is that what will enable the Supreme Court be able to do their work efficiently? Ruminate on that. Again, share your thoughts with us across our various social media handles. Dr. Zato, let me start off with you on this particular one and pick your thoughts on the subject matter. Do you believe the current number of Supreme Court judges is adequate for Ghana's judicial needs? If so, why? And if not, tell us why.
Once again, good morning. And I cannot let the enormity of today's program go unnoticed. For the first time probably in my life, I've got to sit on live TV with a brother. Not just any brother, and not just a fellow Sisala, but a brother from Tumu. The first time to Galangan Vieira, the first time to Tumulo sitting on national television discussing important matters of national state. He's a history-making MP, the first MP to retain the seat for Sisala West under the NDC. The first one to do it was Bayega, right, for PNC. He's done it. And he has been in Parliament fighting for his people. His fight is my fight. Sisala West and Sisala East, where I'm from, we are from Tumu, the same, similar. Our roots are the West in the world. Our healthcare is the West. Our education in the world, we have the same thing. So I'm a big fan of his. And I'll be cheering him to succeed If he succeeds for Sisala West, Sisala is will succeed. The NDC is coming out with a big project called the Big Push. What we hear is that they're going to put a lot of money to infrastructure. And I know he'll be in Parliament lobbying day and night. He'll be lobbying the Minister of Roads, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Education, so that Sisala East and Sisala East in general will get their share. I'll be cheering for him, and I'll be supporting him. And I'll plead with these ministers to please listen to him and help him, because when the roads are done, to be good. The two of us also here does something very good for the psyche and the development of the young ones. Today, there's a kid watching from Golu, from Fairmore, from Jeffrey, from Boti. There's another kid watching from Tumu, from Chalo, from Sakai, from Wallingban, from Konchoko, from Basisam. And they'll see two brothers, two Sisalis, well educated, highly successful in their lives, probably, sitting in national and discussion. Then they will know that it doesn't matter the school they are attending, it doesn't matter their geographical locations, that one day they can dream, they can aspire to where we are. So I'm glad to see him. And as the Tutumulo will say, I'm very happy to see my brother, and may God bless us, and may the ancestors, the gods, the fathers of our land, give us the knowledge and the spirit to do justice to this national issue. Thank you very much. Thank you. When we're talking about this, then I think we need to take a little bit back and begin to understand what is happening. The Americans' political jargon, they have something called flip-flopping. It's called a flip-flopper. When you are described as a flip, oh, Solomon, you're also an MBA, okay? You are co-opted Sisala today. I'm just saying, you are co-opted Sisala today. Just accept it. And also before I go, something else. Justice Subari, one of the judges, he's a former Zavaskan. He's an old boy of St. Francis Xavier Junior Seminary. What do you call it? Zavaskan? Zavaskan. He attended St. Francis Xavier Junior Seminary. Okay. I'm a Zavaskan too. He's an old boy. Justice, I'm cheering for you. I'm praying for you. I know you will make an excellent and a wonderful Supreme Court judge. And that when you get there, you will let your light shine. The motto for Xavier is Lumen Splendid. Let your light shine. I'm particularly happy that he will do Zavaskan there. There's no non-seconds, nobody from non-sec on the bench, and there's no assistant, nobody from assistant there. So once again, Xavier is leading the way, and Justice, I'm clapping for you, I'm praying for you, and you will make a wonderful and amazing justice. Americans call something flip-flopping, and a flip-flopper to describe their politicians. A flip-flopper is somebody who either in opposition or in one form of government says, I won't do A, and then he does exactly that when he gets the power. So you say, I won't raise taxes, then you come and you raise taxes. You say, I won't cut benefits, then you come and you cut taxes. Now, anybody who does it, they call you a flip-flopper. But in Ghana, we went for a more crude term, a more unhealthy term. We say liar. We say the person has lied. Just because a politician has changed his or her mind, or because circumstances have forced a politician to take a position that I formally disagree with, we say that politician is a liar in Ghana. I think it's crude. His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the former Vice President, found himself under those situations. He said that he had locked up the dollar and given the key to the IGP. Later, the dollar escaped. He was called a liar. It's a Bow liar. The same Dr. Bawumia said that he wouldn't tax electronic Later, he did it. He was also described as a liar, but a liar. Just because, again, as a politician, he says, I won't do A, and he did it. I won't do B, I will do it. Today, I want us to use the same methodology. I want us to use the same theory. I want us to use the same practice to judge these issues that we are talking about. And see whether it fits, if the cap fits. They should wait. When the NDC was in opposition, or when we were in opposition, the main thing was that the courts were being packed. It was said that it was a unanimous FC. Unanimous. Today, the courts, I've not seen anybody or any of them say the courts are unanimous again. I've not seen that. What has changed since January 7th? It's still the same Supreme Court. In fact, no new judge has been added, still the same judges. Only one judge suspended. Is the Supreme Court still a unanimous FC? Same judges, the same things, the same cases. A lot of cases come in. In fact, the government, or let me say the Attorney General, is winning a lot of cases. Somebody told me that all over the world, Attorney Generals or the state wins almost all the cases they take to court. Almost all of them, all over the world. And in the United States, for instance, whenever you are charged by the state, chances of a conviction are almost 90%. So Attorney Generals all over the world win a lot of cases. Is it still a unanimous FC, the Supreme Court? I don't think it is. I think that they are still judges doing their jobs. Nobody can question the president's powers to appoint Supreme Court justices. It is their power. They can do whatever they want. And I think that the framers of the Constitution deliberately left the number of Supreme Court judges uncapped for a reason. Because they believed that any president who comes should be given the discretion or the ability to decide. And that they believe that these presidents will make this decision judiciously and that they will not use it capriciously. That is why I think they did not put a cap on like the Americans who capped it at 9. But when His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo exercised that right, he said the courts were being packed. He said you are packing the courts. Specifically, you are packing the courts because you don't want to see the NPP didn't want to face accountability now that they've left office. Specifically, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, granted an interview to TV3, this station, Roland Walker, who is overseas. And this is what he said. I'm quoting directly. His Excellency, the President, we will resurrect the constitutional review process when I become president. And when we do that, we'll put it to the Ghanaian people, whether we should retain the 15, whether we should reduce it, or whether we should increase it. He said if he becomes the president, he will leave that decision to the Ghanaian people to decide what to do. He wouldn't take that decision on his own. Dr. Bawumia said he wouldn't what? Levy E-Levy. He did it. He said he's about a liar. His Excellency the President said he will not do this unless and until he hears from the Ghanaian people. But he has done it.
What is the connection?
Politicians saying they will do one thing and not doing it. We should normalize it because circumstances change. Politicians' hands can be forced to make decisions that they didn't know. We've seen it, and we've seen it. Look, I can sit here and I can mention more than 20 cases, 20 instances where there are politicians in the current government, higher echelons of government, in cabinet, who took positions when they were pushing and they've changed it. I would never, ever call them liars because they probably face different circumstances, they probably face challenging circumstances, and they probably think that it should be done.
So can I ask a question, Dr. Zatu? So do you then support the idea that it's all right to change your position when you're presented with a new set of facts or a different circumstance?
What I believe is that governance is a difficult thing. Circumstances change, and they change with speed. And politicians are used to preaching virtue in position and practicing vice when they come in. It's part of the game of politics. It's factored into the game of politics.
Is that at play here?
It's at play here, completely. I've just told you, I've just quoted. I cannot bring myself to use epithets to define politicians. I've been trained better at home to do that. But I'm saying, so that's why I'm saying that a better way to understand it is that politicians, just like us, change our minds. Politicians, just like us, sometimes are faced with different challenges. When they do and they change their minds, we can evaluate it based on the quality or otherwise of the decisions they've made. We can do that. But if we think that we should define a politician, and I've just given an example, that if you go and you say about a liar, because Bawumia a liar, because he changed his mind, or because he said this and won't do it, should we use the same method, the same analogy for what is happening today? If we do that, no politician will be left standing. If we use that, we will try to destroy or undermine almost all politicians. When we keep doing that, part of what we do, we undermine trust in governance. We undermine trust in government institutions. And then that's why you see that you say all politicians are this. Sometimes it forces people to use generalization, to use a big broom to just paint all politicians. They are honest, hard-working politicians who are there to help their people. There's one of them sitting down here, right here. But if you don't do that and you just go and you take a big brush and you do it, it's not fair. So let's understand that governance is difficult. In our private lives, we change our decisions.
All right, so with that foundation laid, and I think you've made your point quite clearly, you started off by saying that flip-flopping tied it into this current situation that we have at hand. Now that you've established that foundation for us and brought, the different analogies, let's make some progress, because I'll go around the table twice on this one. So in another 2-3 minutes, weigh in on the question for me that, do you think that increasing the number of justices will improve our justice delivery system in the country?
I remember I'm not a lawyer, I don't
That's
go
right.
there, but if you hear these nominees, they are making a very important point that a lot of cases are packed in the Supreme Court. That some cases stay there for a very long time, they never get called and witnesses. So there seems to be a demand for more justices. It's not just a supply issue. There seems to be demand coming from them. So if the demand coming from them, and if we want justice, and we will say justice delayed is justice denied, then it means that there's a genuine need for us to do that. A president decides how many ministers he or she needs to govern effectively. Shouldn't we give that power to the Supreme Court to say that how many justices do you need to do that? So I'm not going to say here we should add more, we should add less. But when you're talking about governance, we're talking about efficiency. If this is a demand, because I've never seen any Supreme Court nominee saying that we don't need more of us. They sit and they tell us, and even Ghanaians complain. Ghanaians complain that cases go there and they take forever to settle. Why? In America, when you watch American Supreme Court, cases don't do that. They have seasons. If they open the seasons, they hear cases. Almost all the cases that they've decided to hear, they hear them. And when it's time, I think mostly in June or so, they deliver all the judges. No case goes to the American Supreme Court and sits there for even a year. Most of them are done a year. Why do we do that? And in fact, we can go all the way down to the very lower system, where their cases can be there for years and years and years on ending.
That's right.
I once asked a lawyer of mine, he said, well, the Americans use a jury system. So once you impanel a jury, you must hire them. But is it time we set dates in the case conferences? So the judge can say, look, I'm giving us 6 months to dispatch this case. Because there's always a difficulty in balancing what is called justice delayed and justice denied. And then, well, justice denied too can be justice delayed. So how do we get that sweet spot where we try cases a little bit more expeditiously to make sure that people or cases are not unnecessarily delayed? We'll leave that. But my point is that for the people that said that change a politician or hire changing your mind was lying, my question to you this morning is, does that still apply in this case?
Well, I've got Honorable here, and I think we can put that question squarely to him, Dr. Zato. And thank you for your preliminary thoughts on this. I'll certainly come back and we can expand the conversation further. At the heart of this debate this morning is whether or not the system is efficient enough. And Dr. Zato, you talk about timelines. I think it was one of the nominees yesterday, I'll recall the name, who mentioned that there should be a time cap on the cases, how much time we're spending on justice delivery. And I believe also in other jurisdictions, they have some more sophisticated mechanisms that make justice delivery a bit quicker, a more hands on the job and a more efficient way of going about it. Maybe that's something we can explore in our part of the world. Honorable, is this a case of flip-flopping or a case of changing one's mind when presented with a new reality?
First of all, let me use your platform to thank my good brother and my friend Solo. We are one base mates. The two of us, we have a particular base. We are members. And also to thank my brother for, he has said a lot of things about me, and I think it is true. We are brothers. We are both from Tumu. Originally, I'm from Sisale East. I can trace my, root to their family. In fact, we are family members, not same tribe, but we are family members. And also to use your platform to, of course, to say good morning to the good people of Sisala West who are currently viewing this program. Before I proceed, I would want to respond to some issues raised by my good brother. He spoke about the flip-flop, trying to compare when Dr. Mahmoud Baumia was tagged as a liar to this current happening. These are two different scenarios. And you cannot say because His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, because he was granted an interview and he says that when he gets the opportunity to lead the country once more, then he would put the issue before Ghanaians. And so when they finally determine as to whether we need more Supreme Court justices, then he will proceed to do the appointment. Of course, he says that when he comes as a president, he will revisit the Constitutional Reform Committee or the Constitutional, what's the name? Which currently is ongoing.
Right.
And government is a process. He cannot also say that because I've made a promise, let me wait until that process is over. And so whatever suggestions or whatever decision taken by the people that he's leading, then he start to implement that. No. The Constitutional Review Committee is currently ongoing, and they are visiting various regions. I've seen a scheduled timetable out that somewhere last week that I think this week they are expected to be in the Upper West region and some part of the northern part of Ghana. I mean, you cannot compare this particular instance to that of, statement being made by the former vice president.
So, Honorable, are you suggesting we can't hold the president to his word? He said that he would seek the opinion of the people, test the pulse of the people.
And he's in the process of seeking the opinion, but you cannot say, because he's actually stated so many things that he is going to ensure that we look at them. And how do we do it? It's a process. And so once opportunity is given to him to lead this country, he cannot say, let me wait until the process is done, then he revisit. We have to be moving forward as a country whilst waiting for that processes. The review committee, when they are done, and the people of this country say that we must cap the justice system to maybe 15, 20, 25, then that becomes a law, and that is going to be bound on him, and he will certainly go by that. Put that aside. He again said that USA capped their Supreme Court judges to 9. In the Constitution of USA, they did not cap it to 9. It is only been determined by the legislature of USA that for some time now, that has been the practice. But in the Constitution, it is not something that has been capped to 9 judges. In the system, I am not I am not a lawyer, just like he said. He's so equally not a lawyer, but you can cross-check. It is not a system that USA has capped the justices in the Supreme Court to 9 members, but they have been practicing with 9 judges at the Supreme Court for more than 30 or 50 years. And that has been the norm. In the system of USA, their system is not like Ghana, where the Chief Justice impanel judges on particular case. In their system, if a case is brought before the Supreme Court, all the 9 judges sit and determine the outcome of the case. That is different from Ghana. In Ghana, it is the Chief Justice that determine who and who are supposed to sit on a particular case. You get me? And so when we are doing comparison, we should be mindful of these differences. My brother, I know, he's this morning trying to, to make things look as though the former or the current president said certain things when he was in opposition and he's doing same. No, you cannot compare. His Excellency, the former vice president, categorically stated that he and the economic management team arrested the CD and gave the key to the IGP. That was what he said. When the reality dawned on him, even for him to mention the exchange rate, he himself was running away from even any word relating to economy. That's different. It is not we, the people of this country, that actually tag him as a liar. When he says that he was not going to tax the electronic, that is the E-Levy, he said it categorically, not up to a month or so, E-Levy was introduced. What, motivated them? So so you cannot say that because he said they were not going to tax, and then the next day they are taxing. It is, what? So the first.
He said fundamentally, what I glean from what Dr. Zato is saying is that fundamentally, I think he used that just as an example. In opposition, a politician might feel a different way. When he's in power, he feels a different way. And he gave a practical example of now president when he was in opposition, saying that he would consult the people. But you mentioned, bear with me, Honorable, bear with me. And now we have nomination of 7 justices.
Yes.
If the people of Ghana decide on a specific number, is he going to reverse that decision, for example? Decision to have appointed or nominated 7 justices if they make their way to the Supreme Court? That's the foundation I think Doctor is laying, is that what is A yesterday should continue to be A today. Do you understand that perspective that he's introducing?
I understand that, but probably he got what the president said then wrong. He says that he didn't say, when I come, I'm not going to make any appointment. He says he's going to leave that to the people of this country as part of the constitutional review to determine. That has not been done, right? There's a need for us as a country to have more justices per what is currently happening at Supreme Court. He himself accepted that cases go there and it takes a long time for people to get judgment. Probably there are many cases, considering the current jurisdiction or the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. We have Supreme Court is looking at, supervisory. They are supervising other high courts, circuit court, and all the courts in Ghana. Same Supreme Court is looking at constitutional interpretations. Same Supreme Court is looking at chieftaincy issues. It is only Supreme Court that has the power to sit on chieftaincy issues. Same Supreme Court is looking at matters that has been to appeal court. And if persons are not certified at appeal court, they can travel all the way to Supreme Court. And there are a lot of cases. And I think that per what is currently happening at Supreme Court, it is important for us to have these 7 members to be part of the Supreme Court. And clearly, I am part of the persons currently vetting the justices.
Right.
Yesterday, one of them stated that if there should be a cap, at least he pay what is happening at the Supreme Court. He is suggesting or proposing that if he's asked, he would propose that at least maybe 20. And I agree with him. Because if you look at the number of cases at Supreme Court, I just stated the jurisdiction. I'm not a lawyer, but if you look at the matters that they are currently handling, you will have one judge handling or sitting on different cases, sometimes more than 5 different cases.
Right.
And so it becomes very difficult for them to pass judgment on time as we expect them to do. And so for these particular 7 members that have been appointed, I can tell you that if you look at their CV, especially Justice Senyo, these are senior judges. They've been in the system, and persons that they've taught in their profession as lawyers were appointed while they were still serving at appeal court. And for me, I think that as you are here moderating this beautiful program, if there's a time for you to be promoted and you deserve to be promoted, there should be. I agree that, and I mean, people must grow in their field of profession. And so if you look at all of these 7 members that have been appointed by the current president, nobody can sit anywhere. That is why you have persons, including Manasseh Azure himself. He came out to write on social media that this is the best appointment so far. If you look at their competence level, if you look at their experience, if you look at the service provided by them to this country, they deserve to be at the bench. And so for me, I support the 7 members that have been appointed because they have the experience, they have been in the system, and they have contributed their quota. We need them at the Supreme Court to support the current justices at the Supreme Court. And so if we get to a time that Ghanaian people say that, okay, we are capping it to 25, we want Supreme Court to be capped up to, maybe 30, then we know that this is the conversation we are having. But as it stands, that process is ongoing, nothing has come out, and we have persons who are very competent that can actually provide leadership at Supreme Court. I think it is only right for them to be there. And so His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has done the right thing.
Certainly. And Honorable, you're a ranking member on the Judiciary Committee, so you have a lot of intel, and you are saying that there are a lot of cases, so you would support a number like 20 justices at the Supreme Court. What safeguards are in place to ensure that judicial appointments are merit-based and not politically motivated? That has become part of the conversation. We talk about court packing, some of the things that the president, then presidential candidate, had to say about the packing of courts.
So the packing of court, it is about the mindset of whoever that is in charge of the affairs of the country. If you are a president that really think about the ordinary person, you wouldn't go and appoint a Supreme Court judge based on the person's political affiliation. If you are somebody who really think about the forward movement of this country, you must appoint Supreme Court judge based on competent and the person, ability to deliver. That should be these two things must be the only basis for any appointment. So for me, if you say that it will be politically biased for when you give the opportunity to the president to appoint, I think differently.
Right.
Because currently, if you want to look at these 7 members that have been appointed, you can go and pick each one of them, try to, dig behind their political history. You will get to realize that these are very neutral, strong persons that have been, and if you follow some of their ruling that they've done in the past, you get to appreciate that, yes, these are very independent, neutral persons who really can do the job. And so His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, I can speak for him. If any other president probably was doing it based on political affiliation, I can tell you that the current president we have, who is in charge of this country, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, he would never appoint a judge just because a particular judge ever stood on the ticket of MPP. He wouldn't do it. Ever stood on the ticket of MPP, he would never do it.
Do you say that to draw some sort of reference to something that has happened in the past?
Of course, in the past, we've seen that somebody who contested on a parliamentary ticket of New Patriotic Party for Ho Santra, the person was appointed to be on the Supreme Court bench. And I'm saying that the persons that have been appointed, you are a journalist. You yourself, you saw, when you kept the names, nobody can pick a single person and say that this person, he has affiliation to political party AB. No. This is what we are talking about, leadership. This is the kind of leadership we want. Whoever deserves it, even if it's my brother who is sitting here, if he deserves to be at the Supreme Court, I know His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and he's my brother. He ever contested on a ticket of New Patriotic Party in Sisala East. But if His Excellency John Mahama, if he were a lawyer and John Mahama see that Dr. Zato deserved to be at Supreme Court, of course, he would appoint him to be part of the bench. He wouldn't consider the fact that because he has political affiliation. He is looking at the competence of the person, what the person is bringing on board, what the person stands to, to deliver. And that should be the basis. So for this political bias, probably not in the current government. If we were in the era of Nana Akufo-Addo government, of course, we could be talking about biasness when it comes to Supreme Court. And my brother again said something about we used to see unanimous AFC. And today we are not seeing that. He said something, bro. John Dramani Mahama in opposition said that we would even reset the entire judiciary. He said that. That was one of the statements he made. He
also encouraged NDC lawyers to come forward, to come and also be known, come and be counted, be part of the setup.
He encouraged them to be competent. When you say come forward, you cannot just shift your chair from where you are to come forward. He's talking about you putting a lot of effort in learning whatever profession you are. You get it? So that will build your competence level. So if you are able to build your competence level to a level that he sees that you are capable of sitting at the bench, of course he will appoint you. But currently, I'm just saying, the 7 members that have been appointed by him, which of them can you pinpoint to and tell me that this was a branch executive of NDC? Which of them can you pinpoint to and tell me that this person ever contested for even a constituency youth organizer or a constituency chairman position? Which of them can you say that this person contested on the ticket of NDC to become a parliamentary candidate? None.
Honorable, thank you for that. And I'll certainly be coming back for your final thoughts on this particular topic. Solomon, let me come to you as well. You've listened to, Honorable, you've listened to Dr. Zato on their thoughts. I mean, really at the heart of this discussion is justice delivery for the everyday Ghanaian? How do we strengthen justice delivery in Ghana? There's been talk about numbers. You hear different numbers being bandied about, but we also cannot ignore the political connotations that seem to permeate every single discussion in Ghana. And it's always a dicey one when we talk about our courts, because we want to make sure that it's a place that is seen to be delivering justice. The idea is that justice must be seen to be done, not just to be done. What are your thoughts, first, on the foundation laid by Dr. Zato, for example, that there's some flip-flopping happening, and also that we do need some more justices for our justice delivery system?
Yes, thank you very much. Let me first of all thank all those BC candidates who finished their exams yesterday, and then to wish them all the best in life. Let me say that as a movement, which will very soon become a political party, we have stated in our great transformational plan that we are going to cap the judges at the Supreme Court. So it's something that is in our GTP.
Do you have a number?
I mean, we wouldn't have done more than 13. We would have done between 9 and 12. Yeah. Because you see, if you read Article 128 carefully, it says that the Supreme Court shall consist of the Chief Justice and not less than 9 other justices. What it means is that the framers of the Constitution envisage that 9 plus the Chief Justice are sufficient to do business. Another 20. Are you with me?
That's what you take from that?
Yes, because if you say not less than 9, it means 9 plus the Chief Justice making 10, sufficient enough to deal with matters at the Supreme Court.
But they open it. It's not capped. So is that not that the Constitution or the framers had the mind that maybe a time would come where we need to have more? That's why there wasn't a cap, at least a minimum, but there was no cap.
They were not envisaging a dishonest president. They were envisaging people of reasonable character to be occupying the presidency. You see, it has become necessary to cap it because of, for instance, the attitude of President Akufo-Addo. When he himself came to government and said that God had revealed to him to come and put up a national cathedral, you cannot just be coming and telling us that God revealed to you. So now...
No, Solomon, he didn't say God revealed to him. He said that if he is given another chance, that is something he wanted to do for God.
Is it in the Constitution that if God tells you anything, you come and do it? There is a reason why you have the Constitution. But you came and told us that God said you should go and put up a national cathedral. Tomorrow, would we be sure that someone wants to come and tell us that God says he's going to come and change it to a zoo? Where would we be going? So there is the need to be legislating on some of these matters. You see, 20 is too much for this country. People are missing the point. Why do we have a lot of cases at the Supreme Court? It is because we have very weak rulings coming from the lower court. The Supreme Court is an appellate body. It's a court that reviews decisions of the lower court. So if you have a strong, if you have honest, if you have patriotic, if you have deep-thinking judges at the high court levels whose judgments could stand the test of time, there will not be any need for most of these cases to travel to the Supreme Court. So if you want to tackle this business, what you must do is to go back and look at the quality of judges at the lower courts. Now, there has to be a deliberate policy. Believe you me, those that attended law schools, they know that in their various classes, the sharp ones, always and always do not want to go to the bench. They don't want to join the bench. Because they feel that the conditions that are attached to the bench is nothing to write home about. Recently, there was a circuit court judge, a lady, I've forgotten the name, that wrote a piece that when you read, you cry. Her conditions of service. That circuit court judges sit on Okada, sit in trotros, they are with the community, they don't have any protection. So when you read some of these things, there is nothing that will encourage you to join the bench. So to deal with it, let's go back, look at the circumstances, how we can attract the best brains to the high courts, to the appeal courts, so that they can do what you call good readings, good judgments, to prevent more cases going to the Supreme Court. Other than that, the more we have very weak rulings or judgments coming from the lower courts, what it means is that there will be a lot of cases at the Supreme Court. And if you don't take care, we may have thousands of Supreme Court judges. Because the reasons for which people are calling for more judges at the Supreme Court is that we have a lot of cases there. Is that not the case?
That's right.
Why do we have more cases there? It is because of the kind of rulings we are experiencing at the lower courts. India, a country with 1.3 or 4 billion people, have only 33 Supreme Court judges. How are they able to go around these? The United States says that has 9 judges. In any case, in the U.S., in the case of U.S., almost all the states have their Supreme Courts.
That's right.
And so they deliver, and they have a very good as a federal court system. So most of the cases do not travel as far as to the Supreme Court of the United States. That is the kind of system we must be promoting. If you read our Constitution carefully, we have the checks and balances. But I think democracy under this fourth Republican dispensation has destroyed every moral fiber of our society. How do we appoint Supreme Court judges? The Chief Justice in consultation with the Judicial Council, plus the President in consultation with the Council of State.
Right.
So it has taken into consideration the acts with prior approval of Parliament. Parliament is where our views are supposed to be heard. How many times this vetting that is going on? How many of the MPs have come to we the citizens, have organized meetings at their various constituencies to seek our opinion about the judges? The sort of questions that they must be asking. They are doing everything on their own, including my brother. So when you do that, you have taken us out of the equation. Either than that, if we're going to have input, maybe there will be a fundamental question that someone will ask that will alter the course of everything. But we are not implementing our constitution to the latter. We are taking out a lot of people. And that is why it seems that the right thing is not that. Either than that, the processes leading to the selection or the appointment of Supreme Court judges, perfect. So we need to revisit it and get everyone on board. So that at the end of the day, it does not seem that we are just doing favoritism. How is it that the last time, what is even getting the embattled Chief Justice into more troubles? Her nominations together with the Judicial Council. You know, there were a list of...
That's right.
Exactly.
How is it that the name that came from President Mahama, none of those names can be featured by the same Judicial Council that selected? How is it that a judge like Sir Dennis Ajay could be at the appeals court for all these years? That was a travesty of justice.
You say he should have been
He
on the
should have
bench
been,
and
you have
not...
been visiting frequently in our courts. Jamefe? Or Jamefe? What's the name?
Jamefe.
How on earth? How on earth? But we experienced that ever since that Eba left the Supreme Court. Modibo Okra. Look at the names I'm mentioning to you. These were solid guys. But you have a Chief Justice that told you that your birth certificate couldn't identify whether or not you were a Ghanaian. Were you happy with it?
Solomon, let me
It has
ask
to
you a
be
question.
quality.
What risks do you see if the number of judges is expanded without clear criteria or limits? What do we risk as a country?
No, that you can have a president who only wants to appoint and then give us more than 1,000. It has a cost implication. Don't forget that they fall under Article 71.
Right.
And so long as the economy is not expanding rapidly, we may not be in a position to continue. Now, it's not even about the number. It's not about quantity. It's about quality. The quality of their works. If they were delivering good judgments, I'm telling you, it's going to be precedent, and it will be there for the lower courts to be looking up to it, to be delivering more good judgments. That we may not need the numbers that we are talking about. Our neighbors, you forget about India and the US. Nigeria is about 230 million population. What's the total number of Supreme Court justices? It's 21 plus 1, that's 22. Ghana, 34 million. You want to do the same as Nigeria? No way.
You say it's far too much.
Let's settle at 11, 12. It's okay.
Okay.
Let's get the quality and cap it, and let's move on as a country.
Solomon, thank you for your thoughts, and thank you for introducing some new perspectives into the discussion, especially about what happens in the lower courts. I think a lot of the comments are tuning on to that as well, and sort of putting 2 and 2 together as to why we see a lot of cases in the Supreme Court. So thank you for that. Let me read a few of your messages. I'll go around the table and then get a second bite on this, and then we can move on. I do have some more questions for my panelists. Abdul Afa says, Okay, what is Dr. Zato talking about? What does the flip-flopping he talks about mean? Was he not in Ghana when President Nana was appointing NPP apparatchiks onto the Supreme Court bench? That's a question there. Felix Azobag says, Allah for Solomon keeps increasing when he speaks. I'll read a few more of them out. Please do keep them coming. A wonderful and excellent rendition from my senior, Solomon Owusu-Boss. You keep making us proud of joining Movement for Change. Okay, the Yellow Army is awake this morning.
It's becoming a political party, haven't I told you?
Okay, it's not a movement.
Very soon to be a
Very soon to be a political party.
You should come and join.
All right.
I believe you'll be a founding father.
All right, and this one says, Nandunja Bilabima says, those calling my phone, please, until Solomon is done talking, I can't do any other thing. Hamidu Karim says, Wednesdays are special because of Solo. Manini Mani says, Helen, I think we need a Supreme Court in every region. Interesting. Is that modeled after maybe the US's design? Again, keep your thoughts, comments coming on our socials. Dr. Zato, I'll come to you for your brief second bite, and let's do so in about 3 minutes or so.
Look, somebody asked what does flip-flopping means. Flip-flopping is a situation where a politician in opposition on government says, I won't do A, but later changes his or her mind and does exactly that. Currently, members of this government, a lot of members of the government, have taken flip-flopping to an art form as an Olympic gymnastic thing. I can mention up to 10, 15, 5 cases right now of members of current cabinet who have said, we won't do it, we've done it.
Give us 4 examples.
4 examples, good. The finance minister says that he won't charge any delivery. You remember him saying that?
It's been suspended.
It is part, it's a law. It's a law. What was that? They said nobody will be flown outside for medical care. Remember when they said that? They flown the vice president of medical care and come back. You remember that? You remember that? They said they shouldn't deport people who will come and talk about deportation. It has happened, right?
That's right.
They said the courts are being packed. We've packed them. Should I go on?
You say we've packed them?
They are packing them. We've sent 7 more. That's packing.
All right. So you've given us some 4 examples.
Yes.
There.
No, I can go more. I can go. I don't want to open my book. I can go more. I can go more.
You've listed them.
We've said that Honorable Mutala has said that burning excavators during Galamsey is less. We shouldn't do that. We're burning excavators. We're burning Galamseys. We are doing that, right? Again and again. I can go on. These are just those I can just remember. So they're there. They have taken flip-flopping as an art form, as an Olympian sports. And I'm saying that. Even His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, has gone on his own words. He has said, I won't do it. And I want, you see, there's a YouTube, there's actually YouTube of him specifically saying that on an interview with Alfredo Kansi of TV3. And he said, and again, it's worth quoting. He says, let me go. We will resurrect the constitutional review process when I become president, and when we do that, we will put it to the Ghanaian people whether we should retain the 15 or whether we should reduce it or whether we should increase it. He said he will let the Ghanaian people decide. The Ghanaian people have not decided. The constitutional review has not finished. So wait from these 7 people. If Akufo-Addo justified his nominations, you may disagree with him, but he says he was replacing. And that's why he tried to keep it at the current level. He said he was replacing. You may say, I disagree with you. Nevertheless, he said he was replacing. These are not replacement appointments. No.
You mean because of retirement?
Yes, okay. That was what Akufo-Addo was saying. He said, that's his argument. I'm not saying I agree with him. Right. But his argument, his logic was that I am replacing them. What is the logic here? These are not replacements. So my point is, if appointed people in the past was considered court packing, is it still court packing? Yes. If Dr. Bawumia said that I won't charge E-Levy, and I've charged E-Levy, then you say it's a liar. And you said I will let the people decide before I add people. The people have not decided, I've added people. So my argument is that anytime you now say, you go online, you go to where you say, but liar, just know that. Solomon, you know what I mean? I just know what you're saying. Because it's not true. And my point is that politicians will change their mind. It's part of the trade. It's what happens because sometimes you are faced with circumstances that make you do that. When they do that, we shouldn't use such epithets to describe them. And because governance is a continuous thing, and you face different challenges every day. To all the people, from all the people who have said things that they will never do, and they are doing them now, how will you feel if people start calling you by names? How do you like them apples? How would you feel?
So how do you like them apples?
How do you like them apples?
That's what the Americans say.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. How do you like them apples? You said we won't send anybody abroad to it. Was, in fact, you see, sometimes God has a way for exposing people. It was also the help of a vice president. So you said we won't do that. You've done it. It was also judges. In fact, here we are having what we call apple-to-apple comparison. We can actually do apple-to-apple comparisons of seeing them saying, we won't do this, we won't do this, and doing exactly the same thing. Apple-to-apple comparisons. My point is that my late father used to say, if you have a patience, you can cook stones and eat them. The stones have been cooked and we are eating them because you are seeing people eating their words in every place.
Dr. Zato, thank you for that. I was hoping that we would hone in a bit more on this issue of justice delivery in Ghana.
I agree.
I do understand that is your...
made an excellent point,
right?
and Solomon also made the same point. Now look, the lower systems of the justice system is where most people go to court. A lot of people don't go to the Supreme Court. That place is choke. And it's true that if the cases there were, the quality of the cases at the lower system was high enough, they won't all be making their way up to what? The Supreme. So let's invest. Let's build better courthouses. Let's invest in research at the lower level. Let's put in more money there. Let's give better training to the lawyers. Let's make the system attractive so that some of the smart lawyers who come out of the system do not go into private practice looking for money, but that they can actually volunteer to go to a regional course, to go to the magistrate district course. We can invest in this. I'm saying that we can do both. We can walk and also chew gum at the same time. We should do that. But once we are doing that, we should then understand that before we get that, we've said that there are vacancies in the Supreme Court. I will not say the president is packing the Supreme Court because I don't know what he says. But you said he was packing the Supreme Court when he was also exercising the same constitutional powers. That is hypocrisy on steroids.
Dr. Zato, thank you one more time. So, Honorable, how do you like them apples?
I am struggling to actually, agree with my brother. When you consistently trying to compare what the president said at the time he was the opposition leader to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, that's where I have a little challenge. What he said was, and he really quoted what he said, he would put it before the people of this country. How do you do that? He would revisit the Constitutional Review Committee. And you and I know it is not a day process. Constitutional Review Committee, it is a process, right? It can even travel from this 2025 to 2028 because you are talking about constitution and you are talking about reforms. So you must do broader consultations. And as part of the review committee, many of the things that the president seeks to review, one of them is this subject matter we are discussing now. And so, president in opposition said he is to reset Ghana. We've said in opposition, and we are still saying, which you agree with me, that the current judicial system is, I don't want to be, people are having trust issues with it.
So, for example, Afrobarometer conducted a survey, amongst others, where the public perception of trust
has gone down.
Right.
And so how do you, put trust back in our judicial system? One of the things that people perception actually gone down when it comes to trust issues about our Supreme Court. It is the way the former president, Nana Akufo-Addo, appointed the justices at the Supreme Court. When you have a very learned and senior judge like Justice Senyo Zemefi sitting at appeal court for more than 10 years. I don't know. You have Justice Sir Dennis sitting at appeal court with all this wisdom. Look at when he appeared before the committee, when the man spoke. And if you look at his CV, very learned. If you read some of the judges that he has, given, even if he was once the flag bearer of New Patriotic Party, and you are a president, and you really want the forward movement of this country, what do? You must appoint him. But this man was sidelined. Justice Senyo Zemefi was sidelined. Many of these senior justices today you are seeing being appointed by His Excellency President Mahama were all sidelined. He went to pick parliamentary candidates of his party. How do you expect the people of this country to have trust in such an appointment? And so, how do you regain the trust of the people? You must reset that appointment. How do you reset it? The people that were overlooked, who had the competent, well-trained and well-learned. In fact, some of the justices at the Supreme Court were once their students. You must ensure that these persons are appointed so that they can be part at the Supreme Court. Then you will see that people will now say, okay, with this appointment, we now have trust in the judicial system. Whilst the Constitutional Review Committee will also be ongoing. That is exactly what the president has done. So I don't see any hypocrisy in this. I don't see anything when, like he said something and today he's doing that. He said again that NDC said we were not going to charge we're not going to tax energy levy, said by the finance minister. That was not what he said. He is my brother, and I expect him. I don't question him. He is one of the when it comes to his academics, you can't question him. But when you are supposed to analyze the issue in a way that I see you and appreciate, yes, this is my brother speaking, as a neutral, and you want to speak as though you are the spokesperson for the former vice president, I get to wonder. Do you get me? When Honorable Atuforsen never stated, I stand to be corrected anywhere that we will not charge energy levy. I stand to be corrected. When he came before Parliament, he says, we inherited a price of a fuel of liter at 16 Ghana cedis. We've been able to manage it, and we brought it down to 12 cedis. The past government, led by his good friend, my brother's good friend.
Who's his good friend?
Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, that's his good friend. 3 days ago, I saw him having breakfast with Dr. Baumia. He took picture, everything. It's all over. I believe that when they hear Baumia, they have a lot of briefing. So I'm not surprised he's speaking this way this morning. If not, somebody, I know him, he wouldn't speak this way. But for him all of a sudden to be speaking like the spokesperson to the former vice president, I'm surprised. Of course, I've always known that he is a member of New Patriotic Party. That cannot be questioned. He contested on the ticket to become, and I pray that one day he gets the opportunity to present his party in Sisala East. But for you to sit and say this, bro, I am surprised. Because we inherited a fuel of liter of 16 Ghana cedis. You have caused a lot of mess at ECG. We have a lot of debt when it comes to the energy sector. We are finding it difficult to ensure that we have stable light in this country. A lot of money, government at every month must look for money to ensure that they procure liquid fuel to power.
Thank you, Honorable.
To power for us.
Thank you.
And government is able.
We're digressing a little bit, Honorable.
I'm coming. Is able to bring down the prices of fuel to 12 cedis, and we are now suggesting that, okay, once we brought it down to 12 cedis, how do we address the challenge? Can we vote everybody? We must all contribute. In every liter you buy 1 Ghana cedi so that we are able to provide stable power for the country. This is what we are saying. Even that, it is far, far better than when MPP was in government. Even that, we are still saving every Ghanaian who buys for at least almost 3 Ghana cedis. And even that, when there are challenges, we notice that the current issue happening at Iran and Israel may have an effect on global prices of crude oil, we say that, okay, then we are pausing. This is a very sensitive government. This is a very listening government. And so you don't come to sit instead of applauding initiatives like this. You don't try to say that we said we wouldn't do this and we are doing this. I expect him to talk about the achievement as far as the pricing of fuel. I mean, the liter. He is not talking about that.
I'm sure when we table that for discussions, Dr.
Anyway,
Zato
so I expect, and so,
we'll talk about that.
Let's talk about the issue. What is the subject matter? We're talking about Supreme Court.
That's right.
So, and Solo himself rightly said that the challenge currently at the Supreme Court, it is as a result of the court system in general, right from the circuit court, district court, high court, appeal, whatever. Today, like I was talking about jurisdiction of Supreme Court, they have, as part of their jurisdiction, they must sit on appeal cases. They must sit on all kinds of cases. Any case that is, even if you are fighting on your land, starting from circuit court all the way, if you are not certified, you still go to appeal court and Supreme Court. And same judges must attend to you. Absolutely. And so if we can look at how we can restructure some of these, cases like the private law from the public law, so that the Supreme Court can focus on the public law, the private law, probably like, civil cases, probably the highest it can travel, it must end at the appeal court. It shouldn't go to Supreme Court to go and be a burden on that, so that they can have enough time to look on matters that are brought before them, including constitutional interpretation and whatever. I think with that, we will be able to make progress as a country.
Thank you so much for that. Points certainly well made. Solomon, I take your final bites on this discussion. You've made some pertinent points, especially about our lower courts. Wrap up for me, please.
So, Helen, we are here, and our brother Zato is just quoting copiously from something that you yourself have not seen. He's just giving you headlines that President John Mahama says, given the opportunity, he will revert back to the people of this country to pick their minds on whether or not to increase the justice or so. I believe we have to put the issues in the right context. Right. But all of us went into the elections, we campaigned and we listened to ourselves. And after elections, there is a nation to develop. I will be the first person to call out President Mahama if indeed he lied. But if you look at the sequence of events, it does not support what my brother Zato is saying. Here is someone who comes to power. The first thing was to do what? Appoint a committee, Constitutional Review Committee. That is to satisfy the constitutional process. Is that not it? With a view to reviewing or soliciting the views of the Ghanaian people. I think that is laudable. What we must be expecting from that constitutional review, remember, under President Mills, there was a similar one.
That's right.
They did their job. It was never implemented. And the same John Mahama, no, President Kufuor, there was a review committee. They never implemented their findings. This time around, we as the citizens of this country, having collated our views, we must make sure that it is implemented. And that falls parallel to the sort of situation he is trying to, or impression he's trying to create. In Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's situation, where he said that there was not going to be any E-Levy, he was the sitting vice president. He had the power. Yet there was an E-Levy. So clearly, these are two distinct issues that we must separate. Now, with the Supreme Court, I will still insist that it's quality and not quantity. You can have 1,000 Supreme Court judges. If their judgments or rulings are bogus, it will not get us anywhere. I believe patriotism, honesty is the only way out. Application of street sense, wisdom. A lot of people apply the law as though there is no wisdom. We must encourage that. And I also disagree with one of the justices, Justice Bright Mensah, on his view that unless we learn Chinese, we cannot deal with the people. Where from that?
Did he say until? Did he not say it as a suggestion that our justices should maybe get to know the language a bit better? Because he says when the Chinese are arrested, they don't speak.
Cross his mind. It shouldn't. Look, Justice Bright Mensah, I'm not too sure he speaks every language in this country. Remember, we have more than 49 languages in this country.
We have more than 49.
Yes.
Right.
So imagine I went to the court. I'm an Ashanti, and Justice Bradmenza doesn't speak the Ashanti language. How do they get to hear my side of the story? Is it not through interpreter? There are a lot of Ghanaian students who have gone to learn Chinese. You, the judge, you don't need to learn the Chinese. In any case, recently, Yomobega, Abroan Inkra, you know that village where they went and ransacked?
That's right.
The foreign nationals that we met there were the Togolese, the Beninois, the Ivorians. What language do they speak?
French.
So it means what the judge is telling us that all judges must learn every language in this world. How feasible is that?
Well, that's a unique, bear with me, Dr. Zato, but that's a unique, you know, he says Chinese or Mandarin because of the number of nationals we see involved in it. It's it's unique to our problem.
He should leave that problem to the School of Languages. It creates employment for people. It's the reason why they're learning these languages. May I have a problem with even Ghanaians who go out there and they want to speak their English. If I were a footballer, I'll go out there, I'll be speaking Twi so that somebody will get job. He has to be interpreting to them. When we went as Black Stars, we brought this coach Milo or whatever. Milovan. He said he couldn't speak English. Did he not bring somebody from Serbia and we as a country were paying him? It's a way of creating jobs for the people.
Point well made.
So please, judges, don't go and worry yourself with languages. Even the Ghanaian one, we are struggling to make any meanings. We left alone, go and speak, learn Chinese. At what point are you going to understand the Chinese to even begin to apply? Please, judges, please. Please, be back.
Solomon, point well made.
Point
well made. Dr. Zato, just bear with me very quickly. I do have a few comments to read out, and then we can touch briefly on a second topic. And do keep your thoughts and comments coming across our socials. We see all of it. All right, so a few more of your messages. Let me get stuck straight into it. Hillary says, Dr. Zato, can you please make your submissions clearer? We, the people of Upper West, are not getting him too clearly. All right, I'm not sure if your sound is low, but that's what they are asking for. And you have a few people from... all right, so hello, watching live from Tumu. Good morning to TV3, especially Dr. Joshua Zato. Thank you for making us proud. Yao Febri says, uncapping the Supreme Court's judges does not mean that we have to bloat or appoint unnecessary numbers to burden the state with compensations and expenses. Jojo says, excellent submissions from Zato. I guess Jojo can hear you a bit more clearly. And Johnson says, I totally agree with Mr. Owusu's submissions. We should get competent judges at the lower courts. Please tell Dr. Zato, this is from Sir Kobi, that the same President Mahama... Okay, I can't make heads or tail of this particular one. I'll re-attempt. Dr. Zato, I'm only giving you 1 minute. You wanted to make an intervention.
I've never seen my brother Solomon struggle like this to make a case. Every packing is packing and every flip-flopping is flip-flopping. If it was packing yesterday, it's packing today. If it was flip-flopping yesterday, it's flip-flopping today. You have executive power to say that I won't pack, but you did. So you see, I've never seen you this constrained and restrained because you know it. I can just see what is happening within your head if this was on the other shoe. I can see your thunderous voice denouncing this.
What is this?
I'm just saying that I can feel it. I can feel it.
What are you feeling for me?
You're finding it difficult to criticize the current president.
So now he's here to be feeling. You have been feeling for more than
Dr. Zato, let me ask a question. Did you hear when Solomon talks about what the Great Transformational Plan has to say about justices? I'm taking that from, what page is this? Okay, 44. This is on page 44, the governance cluster. I call it the Yellow Bible, the Great Transformational Plan. Right? And it talks about a capping of the number. So he has a different...
Imagine you ask Solomon. Dr. Bawumia says that we will not charge E-Levy. And we charge E-Levy. Did he lie? Solomon will say yes. Then I ask the same question. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, says that we wouldn't pack until we hear from the people. That's the direct.
No, but as I started by saying
the people yet.
But,
he has packed.
But what are you quoting?
Did he
He is misleading the people of this country. How? One of the basic rules of interpretation is to read a document as a whole.
I'm just reading something verbatim.
Listen to a program as a whole.
I'm just reading something verbatim.
Can you play what you are aiming? So that we know the context within which you said that.
I'm saying I'm reading a news item. I'm reading a news item.
So bear with me, gentlemen. Dr. Sasso, can I ask you a question?
No.
Solomon,
now,
bear
for the
with me,
credibility
please.
of this show, I want to see what he has.
Oh, I can.
In regards to what subject matter?
What he raised, he's attributing something to a candidate. Now, I'm saying that we must know the context within
Joy
which
FM, my Joy Online.
So let me see.
No, you will see.
Gentlemen, bear with me. Bear with me.
My Joy Online, July 7th.
It's misleading you.
My Joy, the third lines. Muhammad pledges Supreme Court.
Why you not here when it says Alfredo Cancer was the one that interviewed?
Number of justices if re-elected. Source, Abubakar Ibrahim. 7th July 2024,
but
11:40 p.m.
You were here when he said Alfred Okanse. You attributed it to Alfred Okanse.
It is the Galamsey one. I can play that.
Gentlemen, let's park this.
Supreme Court.
You are right.
Muhammad pledges Supreme Court reform. Vows to limit number of justices re-elected.
From where?
My joint.
But you said Alfred Okanse interviewed you.
Please.
So where was Alfred Okanse one?
You are.
Solomon,
I'll get there.
No, he's not going to get there. He's misleading you. And I can bet
he has started reforming the Supreme Court.
I see his difficulty. I see your difficulty. I see your difficulty.
Gentlemen, let's park this. That's why I wanted to ask you a question. In juxtaposing two different positions, would you agree or disagree that a person can seek to amalgamate different thoughts, points, their own innate convictions, and so on and so forth, to come to a certain conclusion, and that things might not always appear black and white? If I listen to what person A says, and it seems as though it is similar to what person B says, can I fall upon prior context? Can I fall on history? Can I fall on other factors to determine that I cannot give those two positions the same weight? Would I be wrong? Would you begrudge me that opinion if, for example, person A, I see them in many different instances, maybe flip-flopping, and in another instance, I don't see that as much? For example, would you begrudge anybody that opinion?
All I'm saying is that I'm not begrudging anybody. I'm saying that I'm doing an apple-to-apple comparison. I'm using the same methodology, the same theories, the same approach used by one people to describe another one, applying the same thing to describe another person. That approach is this, as simple as that. If you take a position and then you change your mind, take a position, you are lying. That's what has been said. My question is, the question I'm asking is, if it has happened to somebody else has done that, is the person too lying? And remember, I've come to say that governance is complex. Look, they passed E-Levy. Nobody knew that Israel was going to start firing missiles at Iran. All of a sudden, you have to stop implementing. In fact, that makes the E-Levy now a luxury levy. Because, see, remember it was supposed to be an emergency. We were told if we don't have it, the energy sector will collapse. We've not had it. Oops, we've not had it 2 weeks. Energy sector has not collapsed. So it is now a luxury levy, not an emergency levy. So we can afford to do that, and I hope we don't implement it. Where the two of us come from right now is farming season. Farmers are farming. It costs about 450 cedis to fire a plow of land. If this levy comes in, and the cost of diesel should increase, most farmers will not be able to farm. And we come from the maize belt. We produce the best maize in the whole wide world. It would negatively impact our food. So the point I'm saying is that use your own method, use your own theories, use your own apologies. When you do that and you compare political ceremony, you will come to one and only one conclusion.
Thank you, Dr. Zato. Your point has been made. Let's move on quickly to our next topic, and then we'll get the views of my panelists this morning. And I'm reading from 3news.com. Please check out 3news.com. We've got the latest in sports, politics, and the like. Now, pressure group Democracy Hub has sued the government over plans to deport foreigners engaged in illegal small-scale mining. Rather than prosecuting them here in Ghana, they are seeking a declaration that the deportation of foreign nationals arrested for engaging in illegal mining without prosecution constitutes a violation of Section 99 of the Minerals and Mining Act 2006, Act 7 03, which mandates prosecution for such offences. Also, they want a declaration that the stated policy and actions of the Minister for the Interior and the Ghana Immigration Service to deport foreign nationals without trial for Galamsey offences are unlawful, ultra-virus, and inconsistent with Article 19.2 of the Constitution of Ghana. Now, the reliefs are, and there are quite a few, a declaration that the selective decision not to prosecute foreign nationals while prosecuting Ghanaians from the same offences constitutes unequal treatment before the law and violates Article 17 of the Constitution. For the rest of the story, again, do check out 3news.com. Honourable, what is the official position on this particular decision about deporting foreigners instead of taking them through trial on the shores of Ghana? Democracy Hub says that they have some issue with that and they're headed to court.
Sure. This particular issue about foreign illegal minors, in particular, I have a different view when it comes to persons who are foreigners who are in our country engaged in these kind of illegalities. I've served on the Lands and Natural Resources Committee on the 8th Parliament, and I'm still on that same committee. And so on several occasions, this matter has come up, and even the minister made a statement on the floor of the House, Parliament. And, you know, of course, I understand the feeling of the people of this country when it comes to the deportation of some foreigners. But what I've been told, it is not entirely the situation. You know, with the issue of some time back, Aisha One, when we said that she wasn't supposed to be deported, she was supposed to be prosecuted in Ghana here. She was supposed to be in Ghana to face our laws. When you look at the challenges that are currently affecting the sector, the illegal mining, there are two forms of people. We have the kingpins themselves that recruit innocent persons. So, for instance, some of the current people that have been deported are persons that, after arresting them and interrogating, you get to realize that there is someone behind. There's a kingpin who is behind. And so if somebody, for instance, a Chinese kingpin who lives in Ghana, is engaged in illegal mining, decide to recruit Chinese citizens from China that he is getting them job in Ghana, brought them here, engaged them in our forest reserve to engage in these illegalities. And you arrest them, certainly you interrogate them. And so when you interrogate and you realize that these are only persons, innocent persons that are brought in here to work, there's a kingpin behind and you are able to get the big fish behind. What you do, in order to reduce costs, especially that when you are to detain them, same citizen, the human rights, that you are supposed to be extended to a Ghanaian must be extended to them. You must ensure that within 48 hours, you're giving them bail.
Right.
You must get them lawyers that if they do not have opportunity to procure lawyers themselves, you must ensure that their proper statements are being taken, which means that if, you, for instance, you arrest 80 or say 150 at a go, and you have to prosecute them, you have to find interpreter for each of them, and you must ensure that their rights, basic rights, are being protected. So if you look at all of these things and you realize that the bigger fish is maybe 4 persons that decided to come together to bring them, those persons, what you have to do in order to cut cost is to deport them and concentrate on the kingpins. I've made a statement on the floor and have been saying it everywhere that when a colleague member of parliament suggested that because of unemployment, the youth travels to come and engage in illegal mining and in the end destroying our forest reserve. I told him no, that was wrong. There are campaigns in the illegal mining in the Galamsey industry. They go around to recruit these youth, bring them, give them money, and tell them that do this for me. And they are being paid weekly. And so if you are blaming the ordinary person, unemployed youth out there, for destroying the environment, you may not be fair to the ordinary person. You must go into the matter, and when you interrogate further, you will get to unearth the real persons behind the distractions. And these are the persons we must go after, and not the lesser person who, as a result of the person looking for a job, somebody decided to bring the person into our country and say, keep the person probably in the forest reserve. And so the person goes there, pay them weekly, they are engaged in destroying our forest. So when you arrest them, you interrogate and finally you arrest the bigger fish, those who are behind.
And that's really who we need to be going after to nip it in the bud. So you say it's nuanced, this particular issue. We have to go beyond what we see and actually go and find out who the big fish or the big fishes are.
The people that are being deported are not the persons behind.
Right.
So in every arrest, government conduct interrogations. They get to know the real persons behind. And then those persons are put before the court. Those innocent people that are being brought into the country or in the name of getting them decent job in Ghana, them, they don't know any. So what you have to do is that you deport them. And that's what government has been doing.
Thank you, Honorable. Point well made. I know this is a developing one, so we keep an eye out on it. Solomon, I only have a minute bite for you on this one as well as Dr. Zato. Let's hear your thoughts, and then I'll go to Dr. Zato.
Clearly, if Ghanaians go and do bad in China, I'm not sure they will be deported. They will be dealt with the laws in China. And so, for me, once they have committed a crime here, they have to be dealt with here.
What about that nuanced position that Honorable talks about, that there are instances where you talk about other nationals from Togo, Ivory Coast, if it's discovered that these individuals are only pawns in a bigger game, do you think that that approach cannot be tailored to suit the circumstances?
No, they have to be part of the punishment so that it will serve as a deterrent to those that want to come.
Right.
If they know that their brothers and sisters came here to do their job and they got themselves into problems, why would they come? They have to be.
In fact, a comment here says from Zigma, you do the crime, you do the time.
Absolutely. You have to deal with them. We deported Ashawan within 6 months. She came back. And we had the former senior minister, Safuma, who says that, tell the country that because of Sino-Hydro deal, if we were to punish Ashawan, we may not have the sort of infrastructure that we needed. What sort of decision was that? We keep doing that and we keep getting our environment destroyed. They have to be punished. Why? Even Ghanaians, we who are the owners of this land, we are afraid to go and do that. Why must they come all the way from their country to come and disturb us? Punish the kingpins and punish those that are also involved. And that is the way, the only way out we can deal with such issues.
Thank you so much, Solomon. Dr. Zato, your final bites in just a minute.
You know, when we talked about flip-flopping and I said it is on steroids, you know, when I talk about former government appointees and governments taking position and changing it, I give you a lot of that. I can add too. I can add family and friends.
Yes, please.
Dr.
Zato, on this particular issue.
Yeah, you are right. The interview I referred to was not with Alfred Okansi, but there's one here with Alfred Okansi, reported by Onwa Online. I'm apologizing to you, sir. I'm apologizing. Okay, let me do this.
He has apologized, Solomon.
My apology is that news quote I was in was from my Joy Online, not Alfred Okansi. It was from Onwa Online. But this one is with Alfred Okansi. This is what the president said. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana. No, I'm on deportation of people. He said that I don't think anybody who is engaged illegally must be sanctions. Ghanaians who are engaged in illegal mining are languishing in prison. They've been sentenced here. And he said that when the Ghanaians feel cheated when people who engage in illegal mining are sentenced. Look, here was, again, the President of the Republic of Ghana, when in opposition, they're saying that it's not fair, it's cheating to allow Ghanaians who engage in Galamsey to be languishing in jail when you are deporting foreigners. Today, the policy of the government of the Republic of Ghana is that if you are a foreigner engaged in Galamsey, we'll give you a free ride back home. The Ghanaians engaged in Galamsey will lock them in prison. Every deportation is deportation, every packing is packing, and every flip-flopping is flip-flopping. We have seen these things happening, and I am saying, if His Excellency, the former Vice President, when took one position, is did the same thing here. Apple-to-apple comparisons, baby. Apple-to-apple comparison.
Are you a Tupac or something?
Dr. Zato has given us a lot of sound bites today. He says, how do you like them apples? All right, another exciting morning in the bag. Let me say a very big thank you to my panelists this morning who've done justice to the topics at hand. Dr. Joshua Zato is a senior lecturer and political policy analyst, UG. Also, Honorable Mohammed Suparu, MP, Sisala West, deputy ranking on the Judicial Committee, and also Solomon Owusu, senior communicator, Movement for Change. Gentlemen, I'm so grateful for your time this morning and for bringing your perspectives to bear. Do have a wonderful Wednesday, and I'm encouraging you all at home to still play *439#. We're giving out some cold hard cash this morning, 1,000 Ghana cedis to 4 lucky individuals. Make sure you're going for option 2 for TV3. Sit back, relax, and watch that money come straight onto your mobile device. We pause now for a quick break. When we come back, there's more right here on New Day.